What's up, guys? Let me ask you a question. Do you ever feel cansado of not sounding like a native Spanish speaker, even though you've studied it, and you've learned a whole lot, and you can read it real good? You ever heard people say, I can read it better than I can speak it? Well, aren't you tired of having to say that? Even the most basic phrases being mispronounced, such as hola, ¿cómo está usted? For some reason it comes out hola, ¿cómo está usted? Well, that's not Spanish in my opinion. So I think we should focus on how to make that very basic phrase sound like a Hispanic person would say it, right? Because, the truth is, when you run into someone that speaks Spanish, if you only say a little bit but you sound like a Hispanic person, they're not going to know how much Spanish you know, but they're going to think that you're fluent. They're going to think you're really good at it. On the other hand, it doesn't matter how much Spanish you know or think you know. If you say a couple things to them in Spanish and it sounds really American, they're not going to think you know a lot. They're not going to think that you're fluent. So if you're worried about that, focus on the sounds of the most basic things that you know how to say. We've already talked about the vowels, a, e, I, o, u. Check us out. We're going to do the hola, ¿cómo está usted? Focusing on the hola, it's not hola. We already know how to fix that. Instead of the O, it's O. You keep your jaw fixated. Hola. A fixed position. Hola. Hola. And also the nasally sound. See, hola is coming more from down here. Hola is coming like, it's almost like you're pushing it out of your nose. Hola. ¿Cómo? ¿Cómo? Here's a couple things that you might not have been paying attention to before. And accent and pronunciation are all about paying attention. It's using this more than this. Yeah, you can read and write, great, but what about the actual language of speaking it? It all has to do with mimicking what you hear with your ears, right? So, can you mimic this? Como, como, como. It's not como. The C sound, what you're thinking C in your mind, the K sound, when you say the K in English, you're using like a further up point on your tongue where it's touching the roof of your mouth to make that K. In Spanish, it's further back in your throat. Como, co. I can feel it in my throat right here. Co, como, como, mo, como. And then the O obviously is not O, it's O. Como, como. So try this. Hola, como. Now, the next one's going to be hard because it's got a letter that is one of the hard consonants that I like to say. So there's easy consonants and there's hard consonants, right? One of the hard consonants in Spanish for Americans is the te, te. There's no such thing as a T, Spanish T, because if you say the word or the letter T, t, it's the sound that you get when you transfer it to Spanish. Como está, está, como está. That right there is wrong. It's not Spanish. Listen to the sound of it in Spanish. Ta, ta. And the beauty of being able to learn from another human is you get to look at my face when I'm talking. And if you're learning from native speakers, the same thing. When you learned English from your parents, I remember holding up, my kids when they're babies and they're looking up at me at my mouth while I'm speaking so they can learn how to shape their mouth to make the sounds. And that's what you want to do in Spanish. Watch my mouth real quick. Da, da. See, my tongue is being pushed between my teeth almost, really hard up against my upper row of teeth, and it's a hard sound. Da. So that's how you make the T sound. Now, I would do if I were you, I would practice each consonant that's hard for me on every vowel. So go through and go ta, te, ti, to, tu. Guess what? Tu means you in Spanish, and most people say two. Doesn't that sound different? Tu, ta, te, ti, to, tu. So, está is hard to pronounce because you're having to change from the s sound to the really fast. So try it. Está. Slowly. Está. Give yourself time to stick your tongue out a little bit and shove it up against your teeth. Está. Como está. And if you practice it slowly, your muscles get used to making those movements and you'll be able to do it real fast. Como está? Como está? See, it's almost like the S part doesn't even exist. ¿Cómo está? And then the last word, usted, which is the formal way of saying you, is commonly pronounced like this, usted. Well, if you fix the vowel sounds only, it would sound more like this, usted. But see, that still sounds funny because you're hearing the t and the d. So here comes the next hard consonant sound, the one that's difficult for Americans to make. It's the D sound. So instead of d, how do you say goodbye in Spanish? It's not adios. And even if you fix the vowels, it's not adios. Because the D sound is not D, it's de. De. It's a lot like the te, but it's de. So I will go through and practice the vowels with that too. Da, de, di, do, du. Now try this. Usted. That's how you say usted. ¿Cómo está usted? If you learn that basic phrase and sound like a native, it's going to give you a lot more confidence. And plus, the sounds are going to transfer to other words. You know, if you learn how to say usted, you'll be able to learn how to say ustedes with no problem because you're pronouncing the letters right. ¿Cómo está usted? Now, I didn't know this at first. I knew that my accent needed some work, but like I said before, I learned Spanish on the job. I was working at a turkey plant when I learned Spanish. And I'd gotten pretty fluent at it, but there were some words that I just couldn't pronounce right, and I knew it, and it was frustrating, but I didn't know what my problem was. And one night, I was saying goodbye to some people, and I said adios, like that. And this lady grabbed me by the arm, she said, Jeff, come here. It is not adios, it's adios. And I repeated it back to her incorrectly, because I thought it was adios. I'm saying adios, it's adios, adios. She said, no, it's not adios. She looked at me and she said, look at my mouth. Adios. Dios. And that's when I realized I'm not pronouncing this letter right. Adios. So we got hola, adios. Hopefully that was helpful to you guys. Make sure you like, comment, and share. And maybe you won't be so cansado about your Spanish. All right, peace.